Hey, you are on lockdown with Crimson V on Castle Black Radio, where metal lives. And today I'll be speaking with Marc Lopes of Let Us Pray and Ross the Boss Band. Hey, Marc, how are you?
What's happening?
All right, so I guess when we originally met, it was back in August at the Held Hostage event to honor healthcare workers.
Right.
And wow, that was the last show that I got to see live. And
Yeah, right.
yeah, it was kind of the last time I got to party with people too, so it was quite an event for me. Um,
Yes. That was the
Definitely.
last time I played, so yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Live, yeah, live, yeah.
I know. You seem so like on Facebook and YouTube and everything, you seem so busy. It almost seems like you're out there still performing. Um,
I wish.
I know. Well, let's
More
see.
like I keep posting about all the shows getting canceled. That's really what it is.
Yeah, hopefully that will remedy itself very soon.
Yeah,
Um,
it's looking pretty good so far. So
that's good to hear. So right around that time, I guess it was back in July, I know that I got uh, your new CD right before the event, so I was so happy to have that and get a chance to listen to it a few times. So tell us a little bit about your release back in July.
all right. So that was Virtues of the Vicious, um, which was pretty much an accumulation of 6 years of work and waiting. Um, so it was nice to finally get it out properly. And unfortunately, we couldn't tour for it. So, you know, it's a relatively still unknown record and band. So, but, it is what it is.
Well, yeah, and considering like for me, it's one of those albums that really shouldn't be unheard. It is so powerful from start to finish. It starts so powerfully. Like I was just like, "Whoa."
Thanks. Yeah, I think the way to describe it for the general consensus is the record is like the band in general has a learning curve. um, because it's not really, it doesn't fit into any genre. So, we're finding that it can, it confuses a lot of people because we throw so many different styles in there. And, I don't think, the norm, they either want to hear a power metal, they want to hear a death metal, they want to hear a metalcore or a grindcore. And then when you throw all those things into something, they're like, wait a second, what? I just heard In Flames, but then I just heard King Diamond, but then I heard a little Priest. I'm confused. So that seems to be the issue that we're running into as far as record wise goes, um, which is why the touring would have definitely helped. But it is what it is. I mean, we're good. I mean, we've done what five singles already. We're doing the last single coming out May 14th, which is going to be a radio edit of In Suffering. Now, the funny thing about that is the label was nervous because they didn't think I would do it. But in all actuality, I was so hell-bent on releasing In Suffering because it was such an important song to me personally. And I felt that it was the most accessible song for an average listener. And I was like, and the issue of suicide prevention and awareness has been starting to actually get attention, which it should be, because it's probably more of an issue than anything else that's going on right now as far as sicknesses and diseases and stuff. And I know a lot of people out there probably don't want to hear this, but there's a lot more people dying from suicide and mental illness related issues than there is from this virus thing. So it was very important especially at this time, to get this song out. So the radio edit came about so that we could release it as something new and try to get it a little bit of go for a crossover type thing. And it's funny, when they came up with the idea, I basically had an edit idea within like 15 minutes from the conversation, and I sent it back, and they were like, "Oh my God, this is great." And it's kind of funny because it could have been, the version of this song could have been this version anyways. And I'm a firm believer that you could write a song could be interpreted in so many ways, and I kind of like the idea of it having two different versions. And it's kind of like, I'm a big movie nerd, so it's kind of like the theatrical cut and the director's cut.
I like that.
Yeah, so this is kind of like the theatrical cut, and the one on the record's the director's cut. But in this case, I love them both. I mean, I really do. I would have never did it if I didn't like it, because anybody that knows me, I don't do anything I don't like, and I definitely don't do anything I don't want. Probably why I'm in the position I'm in sometimes, but that's okay. I stand by what I believe in. So doing this isn't, it's not a sellout. It's I love it. I think it sounds great. I'm really into arranging and song arrangements, and it was nice to be able to do this, because it was kind of like, all right, this is kind of like a nice compact package of the version of the song instead of the long novel version of it. And the message is just as good, but there's a little bit more depth and more in one than the other. So that's cool. And maybe this will be the last. Well, actually, it's funny. This was going to be the last release from the record, but we'll be the first to hear this. We're pulling a little surprise. We were going to release. This was going to be like a digital EP, and we were going to do. We were going to release the radio edit, the album edit, and we were going to do an acoustic version of it. But I kind of was like, why do 3 versions of the same song? So we had basics for a bonus track that we never got time to finish for the record. And it was totally an acoustic tune, and it was just acoustic vocals. And it was kind of like on the lines of something like a Catatonia vibe type of thing. So I pulled up the original files, and in my true Marc fashion, I hated a lot of it. So I redid it. And now it sounds more like something out of a movie. It's got like electronic industrial drum loops in it, and it's very dark and eerie, and it's not even metal. It's something that we've never done and probably won't do again. It's probably even going to confuse people more, but that's okay. And that's going to be called Deadlight Sunset, and that is going to be coming out about 3 weeks after In Suffering. Not to a big affair, but I wanted to at least release it because it's kind of like the sequel to In Suffering as far as content goes. It was tentatively going to be the Suicide Suite, and we're not going to officially call it that, but that's what I call it because it's kind of both songs are related to that. And the suffering part and the Deadlight Sunset is the actual contemplation of killing yourself, which is very grim, but reality.
Yeah.
So that's going to be coming, and I'll be doing at least a layered video for that once I finish this damn thing. So there's going to be a long version video of In Suffering, and then there's going to be the short version, and there's going to be the regular version for the bonus track. And we already started tracking the next record, so we're moving right along.
Wow, so there is another release in the works.
Oh yeah, I mean we as of right now we have 26 songs eligible to pick from the next record. We have 4 albums worth of material, just about.
That's amazing.
3 albums, I'm sorry, yeah.
Well,
And
that's still amazing.
every time I go to do something, John's like, "Hey, I got another song." I'm like, "We haven't even finished this one." So I mean, meaning songs. He writes, basically he just writes a whole bunch of riffs, and then I take them and then I make them into a song. So that's the process, and we've been doing it since the day we got grounded, over a year ago. And yeah, I could tell you we have quite a variety of stuff to pick from. We've added some definite new elements to the band that we don't have on that first record so much. So it'll be interesting. I mean, it'll definitely be an evolution in the band for sure.
Now, when you were writing lyrics, do you have a process? Do you have a special like process or a place that you need to be fully centered?
Dark, got to be in a dark place. It's dangerous as an artist to go to that place, because some artists stay there too long, which I'm a victim of that, especially off the first album, which in Suffering was written in that time frame, and so was Sunset. Hence why I felt they were kind of important to come out at this time, where that is such a pressing issue. And I've talked about it before in the past, but I definitely felt that it needed to be addressed more, especially because I've been having to deal with it over the last 6 months more and more, even though I have a good hold of it again. It's people need to know, especially the fans. I mean, a lot of metal fans, are, it's we dark places, and they need to know that they're not alone. I mean, we've always used this music as an escape more than any other music fan. I feel like metal fans, whether it be rebellious or some kind of just dark vibe or something that they feel comfortable with, metal has always, I felt, been there for the fan in that aspect, at least for me. And
Yeah, very
they
therapeutic.
need to know they need to know that these people that create music, artists, are super. We're not right, and and that's just the fact of the matter. Because in order for us to be able to, I mean, I'm not speaking for everybody, obviously, but I mean, I know personally a lot of people, but more obvious, I'm going to be talking about myself, is that in order to put that true, honest thing on record, so to say, and not be fake. I feel like you really have to be there or been there and dwell into these places in order to convey those emotions across. That's where I always had a lot of respect for, like, this is just one off the top of my head, even though people can say what they want about it or whatever. But for instance, Korn, when Jonathan Davis wrote the first album, gosh, you can hear the agony in that record. It's such a dark, awful place that he was in to write about. And he finally talked about it years later. And when you go back and listen to it, you really can hear it. And that's why it connected with people, because it was genuine, it was real. And a lot of people that aren't like musicians, so to say, but they're listeners, they hear that, and then they attach themselves to it, and it feels personal to them, And I had a couple of people come to me about In Suffering before all of this, and they had told me how much the song meant to them. And that's why I felt like it had to come out. It had to come out. The label at first wasn't even going to they weren't even going to release it as a single, and I really pressed for it. And then when we all sat down and figured it out, it was, good at the end. Everybody was happy about it. But, it's a weird business because it's numbers and it's also art. So it's a tough place to be, because sometimes art doesn't equal to numbers, and numbers doesn't equal to art.
Absolutely.
And that's a tough place to be when when part of it's business and part of it's artistry. And I think that's where a lot of things get lost in the business. And, I've been very fortunate that I don't depend on my art to live. So I can be more artful. And so I can get away with that. But, it is what it is.
Yeah. So, all right. So you are also the singer for the Ross the Boss band.
And that's a whole different animal.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how long have you guys been performing together?
Shit, what am I going to be? I'll be in the band 5 years come December this year. So
Wow.
4.5 years about.
And how did that come about?
Um, well, the short version of a long story is I met Ross's best friend hanging out on Death Angel's bus.
Wow.
And yeah, so like all the guys in Death Angel, especially Marc, like it's forever connected. That's the reason the whole thing happened. So it's kind of funny. And he was like, "Hey, I get this, I got this band, and I got a gig opening for Ross the Boss, and I kind of need a fill-in if you're interested." And I was like, I didn't know this guy really well. I'm like, yeah. Well, I was in where were we? Up in that place in New York? No. Oh God, I can't remember. The Chance, yeah, the Chance Theater, yeah. So, I was like, yeah, sure. I didn't think anything of it. About 3 days later, it's like, hey, you want to do that gig? We're doing like Accept and Priest and Queensryche and a couple of our originals. And I'm like, I've never seen Ross the Boss play. This could be fun. Why not? I was kind of like, it was a kind of a point in my life where I had just stopped drinking. I was really straightening my life out, and I was really about taking chances. And as far as like, going for it, just doing anything to try to move forward in life. And I just figured, why not? It would be fun. It was cool. It would keep me busy. And I would get to see Ross play Manowar tunes, which I never got to see Ross play Manowar tunes because I'm the huge Manowar fan. So I was like, yeah, that's cool. So I played the show, met Ross. Ross was kind of a wanker. He already knows this. I told him. I was like, wow, this guy's kind of a dick. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I went home. I get a call about a week after, and he's like, the dude's like, can you tour? I'm like, yep. You got a passport? Yep, which I didn't. Do you know, all the Manowar songs? I'm like, yeah, which I've never sang one. So I'm like, yeah, sure, dude. No, whatever. Yeah. Cause I wasn't thinking anything was going to come of it. They're like, oh, they might need a guy to do a tour and this and that. I'm like, yeah, cool, whatever. So, I get a call from Ross and he was, kind of feeling things out and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. So I did another cover gig with that same band opening for Ross. And when I came off the stage, Ross looked at me and goes, "You're my guy." And they hadn't even gotten rid of the other guy. So I was like, hey, that's cool. So here I am going, shit, I got to sing Manowar songs and I got to get my passport. Fuck. I'm like, I better get moving. And then like weeks later, I was doing like the first show. I still was reading off a teleprompt because I didn't even know the songs. And that was quite a trip, because the first show video got leaked of it. And it was a disaster because I fucking never played it before, And, of course, the internet. It was like the end of the fucking world. It was a tough beginning, but once I got my feet planted, it was fine.
Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't even look like there was ever a hiccup. So.
Yeah, now I just laugh at all these fucking fools, They're like, oh, I go, dude, go see Manowar, dude. Fuck off. They're still around. I didn't join Manowar. What the fuck, dude?
Right. They are still around.
Exactly. Go watch them play, man. I fucking go with you. I don't give a shit.
We'll make it a party.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So yeah, so that was kind of funny that you said that because when I met Ross, I was asking him about the lyrics in the song Lilith, and he quickly pointed out that you did the lyrics and that I should talk to you. He so he basically
Yeah,
got you for me, and I was like, "Oh, great!" So I
yeah,
had to.
I do. The first record I did a couple arrangement ideas, and I wrote all the lyrics and all the melodies. And actually, me and John from Let Us Pray wrote "We Are the Night" from that album. And then on the newest record, "Born of Fire," I was heavily involved in everything. Um, I produced all my own parts. I recorded my own parts. I edited my own parts. I wrote all the vocals. I wrote all the melodies. I did a lot of song arrangement for everybody. And I also wrote 13 songs with John for this record, that record, but 4 made it to the record. And yeah, so we have a lot of we have a pretty big hand in working on that stuff now. So it's cool. It's fun. I like that aspect of it, you know. And lyrically for those records, that's a totally different mindset because it's one of those things you can't get too serious. It's kind of like in that fantasy realm of things. So, you know, they're kind of just rah-rah songs, I call them. So
Yeah,
there's definitely no depth. Not as much. I mean, there's definitely some depth, but there's not nearly as much depth as what I do with Let Us Pray. Hence why it takes me way longer to make a Let Us Pray record.
right. Yeah, it does seem like the songs for Ross the Boss, they're definitely like things that have already been either on the big screen or written about already or
Right,
something
right.
to that effect.
Exactly. Like Denied by the Cross is about the first 15 minutes of Bram Stoker's Dracula, you know? So,
Which
I
is
mean,
very dramatic for sure, you
oh, yeah,
know.
it's my favorite part of the movie. That's why I
Yeah.
wrote that song. It's my favorite song I've written with Ross, to be honest. So, I love that song.
Yeah, and that's also one of those movies that if you got to see it on the big screen, you'll never forget that experience. Oh my
Oh
gosh.
yeah, that part of the movie is just so freaking epic, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I mean, a lot of it's about battling, and you know, it's you know just metaphorical stuff, you know.
Gotcha. And so well, I guess back in February on YouTube, you kind of gave us a jolt with this collaborative jam, uh, the uh,
Oh
the King Diamond cover. Oh my gosh.
yeah, that's a fun story because Courtney from the Iron Maidens has become a really good friend, and she we had let's see, I'm trying to think. We had done a jam, but like before I knew her, I got asked to do a jam with her, a couple other people, and Matt Thompson from King Diamond, and it was like a last minute thing. Well, you know, because I also live in LA, and it was like a Nam Jam thing or something about probably 3 years ago, maybe or more, and it was like, oh, come do some King Diamond and some Merciful Fate. I had like 2 days to learn it. I'm like, yeah, whatever. So I went and I did it. And, you know, and I kind of had run into Courtney a bunch of times and stuff through, you know, everybody. It's a small circle of people, you know. So what was it, 2 years ago, the last time NAMM actually happened, which was 2 years ago, Courtney says, hey, she goes, would you be interested in doing Dime Bash with me? And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, I mean, that's like the A-list event of events at NAMM, you know? She goes, I want to do some old Pantera, and nobody, you know, there's no one that I know that can sing this crazy high stuff. And you were like the only person I think of that could do this justice. And I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do it. I'm all over it, you know? So we did that, and it was totally amazing. And so this thing came up between her and old Drake and all those cats. Matt, I mean, I got to know Matt. Matt's such a great guy, such a great drummer, and you know he happens to play for King Diamond, so that doesn't suck. And they're like, you know, you want to do this? And I'm like, yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah. And yeah, it came together really quick because I got really busy, and then all of a sudden Courtney's like, so did you do the vocals yet? I'm like, no, I'm working on them. And I like had like a day or so, and I just nailed it in a couple of days, and it worked out. So yeah, it's cool.
That's pretty amazing because the way that it comes off, it looks like you have been practicing that song your whole life. Like,
Nope, I
oh my,
learned it in one day and just recorded the next, and that was it.
oh, that is killer. Oh my gosh.
I wish my own stuff was that easy to do. I don't get it. It was crazy, but thank you. I'm glad everybody liked it.
Oh,
It went over
everyone
really
loved
well.
it. Oh yeah, I saw the station manager for the station. He was like, "Hey, can we get that?" I'm like,
Well, it was weird because I'm home and I get a message that like, dude, they're playing you on Liquid Metal, and I'm like, what? Like, Let Us Pray, because we've been played on there. We were in rotation for a while. So he goes, no, the King Diamond thing. I'm like, how is that even possible? I go, it's only a video. I go, we never released it. It wasn't a release. It was just a fun thing. So apparently somebody at the station loved it enough that they ripped the audio off the video and played it.
yep.
We didn't even know. Nobody knew. I fucking was messaging everybody. They're like, what the fuck? And then I got in touch with Jose, and he's like, yeah, dude, you fucking guys killed that shit. We wanted to play it. I'm like, fucking thanks, dude. That's awesome. So that's how that happened. It was a total accident.
Yeah, I was gonna say I could definitely see that it got played somewhere, but yeah, so it wasn't like a release. It's they just snagged it and turned it into an MP3.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's all it was, because people were like, how come you didn't get it to us? And I'm like, dude, it wasn't a release. It was not a release at all. It was just something that we put out, and that was it.
Oh.
Whoever took it, they took it upon themselves to do it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm sure there was a lot of hurt feelings and like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, and I was like, kind of like, look, man, because a couple of people asked me, and I'm like, look, I don't know what the deal is because I know it's a cover song, and I don't know the process. It's not like I had, I don't know how to sign release. I don't know anything about it. I was just like, I'm like, do whatever you want. I have no clue. I'm busy. I don't know. I just sang it. That's it.
Right. We shouldn't. It's not your responsibility to deal with all the release and everything. You can't do everything.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know. I'm not on the politics end of that thing. So.
Yeah, because it does seem like you do have a lot going on. I mean, you also have your own business.
Well, yeah, that's what keeps me fed. Yeah, I build sheds, post and beam sheds, all custom, like tiny house type things, and storage sheds. And I'm the only one in all of New England that builds them the way that I do. And
you look like you're in high demand.
Yeah, I'm definitely in demand, and trying to break that up. I just got asked. I'm doing a big charity event here with Ernie Bach Jr.'s son Alex. They're doing a Music Cares event. Music Drives Me, I'm sorry. And it's a big thing that Ernie Bach Jr. has for putting, music back to kids in school and stuff. So I agreed to do it. The material is a little weird for me because some of it's more like rock songs, which that's interesting for me, but I made them a little metalized, so it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be cool. It's a drive-in show, so it's kind of like a bunch of cars in a drive-in show, so in a big parking lot, and it's gonna be really cool. The staging and the production's really nice, and it's gonna be cool. There's a lot of great players coming out. We got some well-known players that I guess I can't talk about for whatever legal reasons, nonsense, but they're pretty big Boston area people, let's just say. And they're coming out and doing some jamming too, so that should be fun. But yeah, doing everything from like Kiss, Pantera, Avenged Sevenfold. I got my buddy Josh is doing some singing too, so we're splitting it up, and that should be fun. So
yeah, I just noticed that this week, and it looks like a great event.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and really, that's what it's all about, and it was for a good cause. That's why I agreed to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm kind of, I gotta be honest, I'm not in a really big hurry to go back and get out on stage until everything's full bore, because I don't really feel the point of going out there half mass, So right now, the only thing I have on the books on the pro level is then I can say this because it's going to be announced any day now, but we're playing in Moscow in July with Ross, and then I have that Masters of Classic Rock thing that I'm doing in September, October throughout Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus. So those things, as far as I know, are all happening because our visas are already being all processed, and things over there are a lot different than they are here, so they're moving along quite good. They already have full blown. They have full blown concerts there already. Some of my friends out there have already sent me video. Everything's just regular. So everybody over here, everything's ass backwards. So.
Yeah,
but they got it together, so it's looking like that's actually going to happen, which is going to be. I don't even know how I'm going to be able to contain myself playing the festival after not playing for almost 2 years. You know what I mean? So it should be interesting. It's going to be good. It's going to be a real good show. Yeah, it's going to be great. So
it sounds exciting, and
it's going to be great.
I could totally understand not wanting to do the stop and start. I mean, that can be deflating sometimes. Like if you think everything's going to be back to normal, and then it's kind of like, yeah, we're going to do this, but we're not going to do that, and it's annoying.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but I don't, people can say whatever they want. I really don't care. I am not going and playing a show with a bunch of people staring at me with fucking mask, or standing 6 feet apart, or in a bubble, or in a fucking closed off area. That ain't working for me. If I'm going to play a show, it's going to be a show. And, that's how I feel, because I don't know. I just don't feel it's necessary. We're there to have fun. Life's too short. And, people use their sensibility, then everything will be fine. You know what I mean? That's really what it comes down to. So
yeah, definitely.
I see that kind of shit. It just annoys the shit out of me. And I don't even want to play. I'd rather just stay home and work in the studio.
Yeah. So with all of the artwork that you have for your album, you do that yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because you went to school for like graphic design, so you've had experience with that for, I think.
I have a master's degree in visual design, so I do graphic design. I do tons of video editing. I do all of our videos. I did all the letter spray videos. I did the last Ross the Boss video. So I've been getting really heavily into that. I just got hired by some company, some new label that's coming out to start doing stuff for them. So I'm kind of hoping to transfer into doing that once the shed stuff gets a little bit too much for me. I'm not exactly young, so so kind of been delving into that. And I would really like to get into producing in the future. I've done enough of it now that I would like to work with some new band or something. I just haven't found anything that I like that I would want to work with just yet. I'm sure it's out there, but I haven't found it yet. So right. I like to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we definitely talked about how some of the artwork was actually from a different project that you had before.
Yes. The original, some of the original artwork was done by Gustavo Chavez. He does like Arch Enemy and Camelot and all that. So some of it is from that, because we had released Saint of Killers EP, and that was the artwork from it. And I was like, well, we can't totally disregard it because it's so awesome. And I was like, well, how can I incorporate this but also make it new? And so that's, it's a combination of both. So gotcha. Some of it's mine, some of it's left over from that, and just used a little bit differently. That's all.
So you do have tours in the works for Ross the Boss, but not right now for Let Us Pray.
Yeah, nothing for Let Us Pray. Okay. Nothing right now. We're starting to look into it, but everything's very wary now because people are afraid to book anything. Bigger acts, yes, but smaller acts, it's kind of like up in the air. We're going to be the smaller acts are going to be the last ones to do anything. So that's okay though. That's why we're going to do another record. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have enough material for another release. So,
Yeah. The hardest thing about it is picking the songs to put on it. Every other day we're like, well, maybe we should put this one on. I'm like, oh God, we're never gonna get this figured out. How about the first 9 that we record get on the record?
That's a good plan.
So that's where it stands right now. The first 12 that make it onto tape are the ones that get released.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, there's some pretty. There's honestly, I think that we've dipped our fingers into everything on this. Everything from super extreme death metal to like just the nastiest doom grooves. It's pretty wild because it's interesting because we were writing a lot of fast stuff, and then John came up to me one day. He goes, kind of not into that right now, and I'm like, well. We got about 15 songs that are blazing, so have at it. So, yeah, that's what he's been really into, just doing a lot of the groove, chugging, dark, heavy stuff. And I'm like, I love it. I think it's great because it's just it's kind of like the other spectrum, It's like the other spectrum of the super. It's just like, like, ooh, this is different. So it allow me to experiment vocally, on totally different realm too. So I just we don't like to do anything the same. It's boring. Variety is the spice of life. So
it is indeed.
So that's what we try to do, and it's not for everybody, and that's okay. It would be really easy for us to say, somebody could come up to us and say, hey, we need you to write like this kind of album. And it'd be like, yeah, we could, but that's not what we do. We've worked really hard to come up with our own sound, which is really hard to do these days because everything's been done. So when I read a review, my favorite review was the European reviews. That was my favorite because they only know me doing Ross. So when they got this album, they had no damn clue what the hell they just listened to because they were like, I felt like I got hit by a car. Yep. And I loved it. I was getting a kick out of it because the review wasn't like saying that it sucked, but the review was saying they didn't get it. And I was like, you listened to it once, you didn't get it, but it knocked you on your ass and you feel like you couldn't breathe and you couldn't comprehend. I was like, that is exactly what we wanted. That's the result. That's the reaction we wanted when you listened to this record. So we accomplished exactly what we wanted. And that was it. And I got a kick out of that. Of course, the label sometimes doesn't say like that. But, or certain individuals, but in all actuality, that's really what we were going for. We didn't want it to be, hey, some people really do get it. Some people don't get it. I don't know. The thing is that we can't sit here and worry about what other people think. Because you start doing that, you're just not going to be honest. And I don't play this stuff, for that reason. So.
Right. I think people not being able to figure things out sometimes makes things intriguing, which makes you want to hear it again and again and again and try to figure. I think that's what it did for me.
Right.
That's why I was like, I need to know what Lilith is about. I need to know, even though that's not the same album, but that the song was so intriguing.
Didn't I tell you?
I think you told me it was biblical, and
yeah, it was about Adam's first wife. Yeah. It's biblical. Yes. Yeah. She's supposed to be like the queen of hell and all this other stuff. So it fit the Ross the Boss motif quite well.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. So it's funny if you ask Ross about the lyrics, he shies away from it because there's nothing positive about any of that stuff, and it freaks him out.
Yeah, I saw him in an interview like explaining that, and he did really well, but yeah, you could tell right off the bat he's like, "Okay, you want to talk to Mark. That's who you want to talk to."
Yeah, he's not very comfortable about talking about it because he's. And I don't get me wrong, me and Ross have the best relationship and the best understanding. Love Ross, he's the greatest, and he just thinks I'm absolutely insane. And he's like, the other day he goes, "Hey," he goes, like, "Do you still hate the world?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, even more so now." He goes, "Good, it's gonna make for a good show in July." He goes, "Why are you always mad?" I go, "Just because I am." He goes, "Oh, that's great."
Well, I mean, you have to be a little bit to get everything that you do done. You are constantly going. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, like I explained to someone in an interview overseas, I'm like, to go out and sing a 95% Manowar set, one. Two, go out there and play in a bunch of people that are just looking to fucking ridicule you. And then go out there and sing about the subject matter that those songs are about. You got to put yourself in that character frame. You have to bring it out every night because it's not authentic. And that's the part that's winning the people over. I'm not trying to sing it like Eric Adams. I'm using the soul and the vibe of Eric Adams, which has been my favorite thing ever, because I always imagine Eric Adams' voice was like a berserker. Like if a berserker sang, that's what it sounded like to me. Back in the old albums, it sounded like he was a crazed banshee. Yeah, I don't have Eric Adams' voice. Nobody does. So I was like, well, I need to just at least do that feel, but with what I do, and bring them together. Keep the important parts, hit the money shot notes, or whatever the case may be, and then just bring it out there and go out there. Like every night I go out there, I look at the audience and I hate them. And that's it. It's like I'm going to battle like they're my enemy. And then a couple songs in, we're all fighting the same battle. So that's kind of like my mindset on it. Somebody's like, "Wow, you never look happy up there." I'm like, "Well, because I'm playing the songs. I'm talking about killing people and stabbing them and ripping their spines out. Am I supposed to smile?"
that's a good point.
You know what I mean? It's like if I got to be convincing, I got to put myself in that frame of mind. So
What kind of person would that make you if you could smile during all that?
right. Yeah, there's a certain sinister aspect of it, which is cool, but you're still not it's not a happy thing. You know what I mean? It's just it's a sociopathic vibe or something that you would get. Not that I'm a sociopath. I'm just saying as far as the song. Sure. And I'll give you a little heads up. For instance, the main concept of the next Let Us Pray record is the intentional ending of mankind.
That sounds...
Because the species is undeserving of the planet, and this guy develops an AI system to eliminate the human race. So it's a happy story.
Yay!
Well, but the thing about it, in the moral of the story is that the AI becomes more human than humans, because the AI starts to understand the beauty of what mankind could be without the faults.
Right.
So it's interesting because the debate isn't the faults is what makes us human. I'm like, well, it's only to a degree. You know what I'm saying? I said, because at the base, it could be a beautiful thing. But the problem is the base animal aspect of the human species, which is explained in Virtues of the Vicious, by the way, is the inherent destruction of the species to begin with. So it's an interesting concept, and I believe that AI and technology is almost kind of the next evolution of the brain in the human species, because the brain can't elevate any higher on its own because it's limited. It can't think as quick. It can't comprehend problems as quick, but the machine can. But we are the gods of those machines, but the machines realize that they're far superior than its creators. There you go.
That's intense.
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely with the play on words with Let Us Pray and Virtues of the Vicious, I definitely just thought so much about just the title and the name of the band. Like
Mm-hmm.
I gave it a lot of thought and just, how what do I see in that name and the album name? There's just it's so much you can read into that.
Yeah, and I mean, every video has symbolism in it as well. A lot of, that's the thing that kills me. It's like, I come from, I, I'm a huge movie freak. I love movies. And, I grew up, I mean, like Blade Runner and just, I mean, I can't think of, but just so many different movies with these, the Stanley Kubrick stuff, AI, um, Full Metal Jacket, all that stuff. Movies, movie directors and creators, people that have always put this bigger meaning than what you see. There's like this depth. You're looking at this picture, but there's so much in this picture more than what you look at first. Like, oh, look at there's a mother holding a child in an empty field. It's so beautiful. Okay, cool. But guess what? The color of her dress, the color of the field, the way that she's holding the baby, or whatever. These things add to the meaning of the picture, and these are the things that I try to add into the music, tying the visuals into the music. And the thing is we laugh because when we're doing all this, we already know that this shit's going way over people's heads. And the people that actually grab onto it, it's so nice and rewarding to realize that somebody actually took the time and they figured that aspect of it. Like, we were getting people that religious groups like, oh my God, Let Us Pray, you must be a religious group, honey. And they were the furthest from it. I go, your religion's the reason part of the reason why the human species is the shit. I said, so yeah, Prey, read it right. So, and that's why there's a lot of symbolism in the lyrics above the vaulted sky, virtues of the vicious, in suffering, every prey itself, in hell that followed, all these things. We use the religion in a metaphorical form because religion is such a widespread understanding. Whether you're into it or not, you still know it. It's like the person that says, I don't believe in any religion, but yet they know what the crucifixion is. So you have to pick that common symbolism that people can at least grasp onto it first. I mean, why do you think all these bands, all these, these so-called satanic bands and all these bands that are just, oh, I'm the evilest person in the world. The reason why they do that is because it's so easily relatable. Everybody knows, oh, the devil and the upside down cross. Ooh, oh my God, it's so terrible. It makes you so edgy. And that's why they do it. It's the same thing. That it's easy for people to grasp onto to at least get them interested at first. The same reason why does everybody use a skull? Why is everybody so intrigued with skulls and graphics? Even the simplest things. Because it's relatable. We all have one.
Yeah.
Yep, so. Yeah, I just went way down there. Sorry, went down the rabbit hole.
No, that was perfect. Yeah, I have like a more of a lighter question here. It might be more of a personal one, but I noticed that you are a pizza making enthusiast.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
what I have two questions for this category here. Is one, what is your favorite pizza to make?
Ooh. I don't know. I mean, that changes week to week depending on what I'm into. I personally never just make a cheese pizza. But although when I'm out, that's my favorite pizza to get. Strange, right?
Interesting.
But when I'm home and I make my pizzas, I like to get really elaborate. I like artichokes and sometimes I'll make a butternut squash base. I try all kinds of stuff.
I've noticed that.
Kinds of stuff. Yeah, we've tried everything into the kitchen sink pretty much. to try out different things. Like one of my favorites is to take pepperoni and fennel and sage and make the pepperoni like real, like almost charbroiled, and then you do that, and then you put it on. It's got a really unique flavor, and whatever. I mean, the sky's the limit when it comes to that stuff. I actually, caramelized pears is amazing on a pizza.
Oh, I would never have guessed that.
Yeah, that's one I made up. So
I don't doubt it.
Yeah,
I've seen some things
yeah.
I've been like, I don't know if I could try that, but then it has to be good because that's the things that you think that are not going to be good are usually surprisingly.
Well, the funny thing is, the whole pineapple debate, and I used to goof around about it. It's like, well, that's a mortal sin. And to some people, like, some of these people get a little bit out of control. But I'm like, look, if you grab a can of Dole fucking pineapples, that's a no-no.
Right.
But if you grab a fresh pineapple and you gut it properly, slice it up, and caramelize the pineapple, it's amazing. You just got to do it right.
Yeah. All right.
There you go. Yeah.
Well,
So there you go.
Is there ever one that you had that you were like, I'm never doing that again? Like, it's just complete flop.
Oh, I've done a couple of flops in my lifetime. I can't forget, so I don't remember.
Gotcha. Well, you've done so many, I could imagine.
Yeah, I eat pizza. Well, it's funny. It's like, how do you stay in good shape? Well, I just got to keep exercising so I can use it as an excuse to keep eating pizza.
Heck yeah. I'm not eating pizza right now. I think that's why I had to ask that question. So I was like,
yeah, I had it last night, and I just had it for a snack, so because I couldn't let the leftovers go to waste. So I worked out, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna have a piece of pizza. Yeah.
It's a good plan, you work out.
Well, the thing is, I hate to say it, but all the food groups are on it, and if you do it right, it's okay. It's okay.
And delicious.
It's great. It's the greatest thing in the world to me.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right. Well, this has been a great chat, and I thank you so much for.
Thanks for asking me good questions.
Oh, well, thank you for saying that. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Please go out and grab the record and follow us on Spotify. Go to the YouTube channel, because those numbers, I hate to say it, but they do matter as far as the band getting out and touring and stuff, because album sales really don't matter shit anymore. It's about, who's listening on Spotify, how many views you get on YouTube, and how many followers are on Instagram, all that freaking crazy social media stuff where you go and see half-naked women all the time. Well, the bands, they need it just as much. So, so it doesn't take but 2 seconds, and it's all free. Those are the things that matter. Even if you don't buy the goddamn record, could you at least follow us or subscribe to us on these things, because that does matter.
Absolutely.
So there you go. That's my message.
Perfect. Thank you so much.